Hey everyone, Frank here. Glad you could join us for yet another installment in our weekly series of Anyox. There, Kevin and I are heading back up to the mines, and we've got a lot of really cool stuff we can show you. So we probably have another 2 or 3 shows. So we just put out one every week. This is part two. So we're gonna found a really cool tunnel up through the mountains. We're gonna show you a shortcut to get through the mountain, and we're gonna go for a tour of the cemetery. There's a big cemetery up there, and a lot of First World War veterans are buried up there. Some unique stuff about that. And there's a general store. We're going to show you a huge general store they have. It's about a 7,000 square foot store they have. And we're going to hike up the top of the mountain, and there's some big glory holes, some ore chutes that we're going to climb down and just explore more underground stuff. The most exciting thing we found underground is this week was we're going to show you is a huge, massive crusher. There's a big rock crusher that crushed everything that was over 8 inches in diameter, and the trains dumped it into there, and they come out through the bottom to go to the smelter. So it's just a huge crusher. It's about 4 stories high, and we'll show you that. So yeah, just a little bit more history about Anyox. There's about 3,000 people there that lived there at the height of the town. The town was more or less kind of started in around 1915 when they started building all the infrastructure. You see here the smelter, the brick plant, the coke plant, the generators. The dam come a little later, and a big steam plant. So Anyox basically went for about 20 years, full steam, and then it shut down in 1935 when the price of copper really went really low. 1935, when they shut down, copper was down to 4.5 cents a pound. During the First World War, I think it was up around 18 cents a pound, so it really dropped the price of copper down, and the wages went lower, and they had strikes and stuff. And they sold it to Cominco in 1935, and Cominco, I don't think they ever really wanted to operate it. They bought it, and then they just tore it down, took all the machinery out, and sold all the steel that they could. I think the reason Cominco bought it is they had a big smelter and trail, so Anyox was the competition. So I think they bought it so nobody else could operate the smelter, and they tore it all down. So yeah, they still have the only remaining smelter left in BC. They got a big smelter and trail. So yeah, so more or less the town was abandoned in 1935 pretty suddenly. Everyone just had to pack up and move out. Some of them had very little money, and they just left all their possessions behind. And the town, all the wooden structures have stayed pretty much the way they were until about 1943. There was still about 15 people living there, trying to scratch a bit of a living up, doing some fabricating and different things there. And then a big devastating forest fire wiped out everything that was left in the town made out of wood. So burnt up the roads, which were plank roads going across the Muskeg, and about 300 houses that were still there. So they still had a store and stuff. There was big general stores. So fast forward today, the only thing's happening at Anyox right now is they're still mining abrasives here. So True Grit Abrasives owns this pit here, and Lyle Linda lived there, and they manage that operation. There's a tug that comes in 3 or 4 times a year and brings a great big barge in. They load up 8,000 tons of abrasive in 24 hours, and that's how they get the abrasive out. So yeah, there's just a big conveyor belt here. They live on this barge, and there's a big conveyor belt. They just take the wheel loaders, and then they load all the abrasive on the conveyor belt, and it goes right onto the barge, docked right in front of you here when they bring it in. So Lyle's there by himself in the wintertime, and Linda comes to help him out in the summertime when they're a little busier there. It's kind of a long winter there. The bay froze this winter, but doesn't usually freeze. So yeah, this is the operation they have there. They really helped us out, really helpful. Got the boat stuck one time, and used the quad a few times, and big thanks to Lyle and Linda for your hospitality while we were there. And just amazing how much this abrasive has been mined for, I think, about 30 years. As you can see, they took a pretty big chunk out of here. It's amazing how much they took out. So slag is what's left after the ore goes through the smelter. So it's just kind of maybe the ashes and the host rock and the sand and dirt, whatever that's not ore that's left over. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little tour of the slag operation. The only year-round residents of Anyox and heading to the mine. Are you cool to see them?
Yeah. Maybe they just wanted to know what was in that knob.
I don't know.
But I don't know why they would carry the cut on.
We're just trying to decide whether there's an adder or not. You can see it from the top. We're along the rim there. But look at some of the colorization. You see a really bluish green. That's copper. So this is, there's sulfides and coppers in here. So this is definitely kind of, we're right in the area of the mines anyhow. So luckily we're going to go down there and hopefully there's a main tunnel and a level here. But if not, we'll keep looking. Yeah, pretty panoramic picture here. The mosquitoes found us up here, but just really awesome to see the background and the slag pile in the back. And there's just a huge open pit at the top of this stope that just goes up. It looks like it's about, I don't know, about maybe a half a mile from this side to the other side. Just a big kind of a slit. And there's a whole bunch of crosscut levels in here. It's just one of those real wet, nasty days. You're just soaked from head to toe. So the only way to get up here is you follow a creek. You have to wade through a creek, and it's been raining here a lot, so everything's soaking wet. And then we had to hike up this steep pass here, and this is the easiest way of getting here that we know of. There's no easier way. So we tried actually getting across this valley, but then we got stuck in the cliffs and there's no way down. It's just way too treacherous, and we had to hike all the way back for nothing. So this is what we came for, and we see a couple of what the hell do you call them now? They're not called scrapers.
Oh, that's drag skirt. Yeah. Scraper.
It's not called scrapers. There's a name for it. Slusher. They're slushers.
Something like that.
Yeah. So they use them to drag ore from down an incline.
Mucker.
Yeah, mucker or slusher. And the cool thing about this is we know it's obviously this incline shaft can't be that steep, because if it was steeper it would just fall down. So it's this is what we're looking for, this incline shaft right here probably. There's an ore pass that goes straight down, and flying from the drone it looked like straight ahead, or there it wasn't that steep. And then we got a hole up there. So luckily we brought some ropes with us today, or a rope, 260-meter rope. And looks like we're going to be able to get in here, or at least have a real good picture of it. So look at that size of the rocks here, eh? When they talk about rocks the size of a house, those are a lot bigger than any house I've ever seen. Well, they're pretty big. Yeah, some pretty big rocks. Alright, so there's a bunch of adits here that we know of, and we're going to have a look at that incline shaft and see if we can get down there and find the 730 level. That's what we're looking for today, the 730 level. So we're going to call this a slusher adit, and you know, it doesn't look real steep, but we definitely need a rope to go down there. I'm just going to sneak down there and see if there's a level fairly close, we hope. There's quite a few other little things to check out here too. There's another adit up there. You can get up there fairly easily. And I know there's one up there. Lots of pipe and drill stuff all anchored, holding stuff down there. So lots of cool stuff here. It goes down pretty steep here. I probably could have made it down if I had my proper climbing rig, and now that's pretty steep. I might not even want to do it. So there's an ore pass. It goes way up there. And this is what I climbed down it. It's not really that steep because I have an ascender with me. This part's not bad, but it gets a lot steeper. And if I had my proper rigging with me, it wouldn't be a problem, but since I don't, and you always try to decide what the hell to bring with you, because everything weighs a lot, and all of a sudden I'm faced to be in here without what I really need to get down here. So, but that's the way it is. Yeah, pretty good view from up here. It looks like we can see an adit straight ahead of us there, across the thing. So Kevin's down there. He wasn't confident in his climbing abilities. And we're going to try rolling a big rock down here. You want me to roll that rock? Okay. Rock?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh boy.
Yeah, she's going to go right down into the pit.
Oh boy. Oh fuck. There are rocks flying all over the fucking place here. I don't want to work at the bottom and near the near the ore chute. I got a bit of it, a little bit of me running. A little bit of me running out of the way.
Yeah, that'll look cool too.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Did you film any of it?
Where the hell is he now? Oh, there he is. Oh, he's got a big one now.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool from here. Yeah, it's quite a long ways down. Yeah, ain't that cool? Big slabs of rock falling off of this mountain here. Yeah. And the pit behind one's the big one that we went into that we found the tunnels for. Yeah, from where Kevin is, he's looked down and you can see a pipe going right down over the bank there, an airline. Must be some workings way down there. This is all solid. I mean, it makes you kind of nervous standing on this, but gotta get that good shot, right? We'll do it this way. Well, actually, I'm sure we got lots of good drone footage. We flew up in here with the drone. It looks pretty awesome sitting here watching it. That's called the Alpha Pit right there. So there's 3 pits. There's that one. There's a pit behind it which is about the same size. And the other pit here that we're standing in front of. 3 pits in kind of a triangle. And that's the last pit there. So we're at the very end of this pit here, and we couldn't find nothing. We thought maybe right in the corner that was something, but I don't think it is. The adits that were on the maps were pointing in a different direction. They're heading actually the opposite direction into the main pit where the other adits are. And what's probably happened is there were adits here, but they just basically got plugged. You know, these big rocks fell down, they plugged whatever adits that were here. And it looks like, I'm pretty sure they mined in here, but yeah, how do you like that for a pretty cool ore pass, eh? That one goes down and it joins the first one I went down. I'm not going to go down this one because I already know where it goes. It joins up with this one right here. And one thing that's really cool that you can notice from a long ways away, and I'm not sure what this is, but there's a big streak of silver. Looks like silver ore or something. Look at that. Really silverish looking stuff. That looks really cool. That looks like silver to me, but I don't know. And they keep telling everyone I'm not a geologist, so. Wonder if I could sneak across that, probably.
No.
That doesn't look that steep.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'll put my camera away and do it without my camera. If you think it's that bad.
Frank never listens.
I gotta get a sample of that too. I need a sample.
I'll never get out of Kitsault. Got a Greyhound bus. Frank's walking the ridge back in between the 2 big open stopes there. One down in there. And you're never really going to catch yourself if you start slipping down there. No. Yeah, he made her across.
Yeah, pretty steep down here. Looks like there might be a... I'm gonna be careful about this rock. Looks like there's an adit there maybe. And this is the The first pit that we went, we hiked that hole, that big hole. We hiked that whole area pretty good. We didn't find nothing. Hey Kevin, turn around for a sec. There we go. So you see it's a pretty cool spot he's hiked to there. And yeah, good view of Anyox here.
That's a little tight.
No, it wasn't wet. Wasn't 4 feet of water in there.
You would have kept going.
I could have handled the wet part, but I don't know. It's probably not likely to go on too far because, well, hard to say. There's a lot of material there that they shored up.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of material. I bet you this one goes through to the open stope. And everything was coming out, the waste rock coming out through this way. And
yeah, good chance.
Frank's just waypointing another adit we found. And there's a lot of cold air coming out of this one. So it might be an option to give this one a try tomorrow.
Alright, so we just, there's a little path here behind the camp, and it's supposed to go to the cemetery. So we're going to have a look there and see what we can find, what remains of the Anyox cemetery. This has got to be one of the more bizarre graveyards that you'll ever see. Beautiful location. Yeah. Each of them, it's got a little miner's hat. And then they died here.
I think they're veterans hats, I think the lady was saying.
No, not from 1930.
Well, they were in the Great War.
Yeah.
And then they came back from the Great War.
I wouldn't think so, because every one of them's buried here. Has got a hat, pretty much. Yeah.
The flu epidemic knocked them pretty good up here too. It doesn't seem like there's any corner of the world that the flu epidemic didn't get. A fair-sized graveyard, actually. It's a bit of a story behind this one. Husband might have had the body's wife exhumed after it shut down. There's more graves with the helmet on.
Just a cement?
Yeah, I think it's a cement helmet.
Really cast them.
Lewing, 1930.
Tides, they always amaze me that when we came in last night, this was level, so, so I don't know. Geez, that must be like a 12-foot tide, a 15 feet tide, something like that. Like this was quite a difference. This creek coming down now, it was all full of water. It was completely full. Yeah, they gotta be about every 6 hours, I guess it is, or I'm not sure how that works exactly. But yeah, nice place to moor the boat here, nice and safe.
Well, we've had a new interesting development today. This is where we moored the boat. And as you can see, there is no boat. But we did find the boat right over there. So we do have issues. Welcome to Anyox. What indeed it means, I don't know, but C might stand for copper, and 2 for the grade of copper. The thing that really captures you when you first get here and learning about it is the amount of work and infrastructure involved in creating this place. The manpower and the steam power.
Looks like a medieval castle from the 16th century or something.
Oh, I'll have
You
to go.
wouldn't think that's only 100 years old, eh?
I'll have to go take
Look
a
at that.
peek at. Don't know what this is for, but all the bricks are definitely heat scalloped. They're in rough shape. There was a lot of heat coming through here. A little farther back up the mountain. There's Frank out there having a look, see around. Just looking at some hoppers here.
Here's the general store. It's 117 feet by 60 feet wide. It's supposed to be 3 stories high, so it would be 7,000 square feet per floor. I only see 2 floors, but who knows. So it doesn't look that impressive from the drone, but we'll go inside and have a look. You notice the bricks on the windows, they were made a lot smaller. I guess it was colder than they figured when they designed it.
It's a one main department store for 2,500 people, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, the old Walmart. Oh, it goes on. Oh, this is ever huge.
Man, it goes
My
farther.
chain. I measured it.
Hip chain.
Yeah, this one, I measured it.
This must be the grand entrance.
There's no wall on the other side anymore.
The Granby Shopping Center. Granby Mall.
Collapsed. I just saw the wall collapse. This main one's still up.
There's walls up on the far side there.
Okay.
A bit. It just starts off here, I think. And
Yeah. This is where the electric, there's an electric train here. You see that? That's where they held the line up. And it's like in Phoenix, they only had one hot line. Yeah, this is outside one. I didn't know they had one outside. That's pretty cool. Electric train. I've only ever seen them in. I've only ever seen an electric train in the mine. I've never seen one outside. Okay, we're heading into the crusher level here. And lots of cold air blowing out here. Now, there's a bunch of things going on here. There's a number of levels going down, and that's stuff that bypassed the crusher that just went straight to the rail bed below us. And we're going to show you this crusher. It's a monster crusher, and it was actually assembled right in the mine here. And they left her right where she's sitting when the mine shut down because it's just way too much work to move this. As you'll see, it's about 4 stories tall. So you can see it's a pretty big portal. You can see the size of this. I'm not sure why they made them so big. Looks like a big monster portal. Let's go and have a look at this crusher. It's quite something. Everything's massive in here, as you can see. There's a big ore chute going down. And for some reason, they kind of like to regulate the amount of ore that was going down. This is pretty dangerous. It just goes straight down. But it's plugged down there. Where they had the load out where the train is, it's plugged right now. And just a little bit of water seeping out, so you couldn't get in there. But it really doesn't matter. This isn't really a mined level. It's not a mine level. It is just a kind of a bypass and a loadout facility. So there was no minerals mined here that we know of. This was just a part of the transfer facilities to get this ore out of the mine. And so here is this would be a big false floor here going down. Not that steep right here. It's kind of plugged a little bit, big deck here. So if we fall down here, don't be alarmed. I'm only going for a few feet. You know, this is all filled in, plugged. I don't know if there's another level there at one time, but if there was, hear a real echo in here. You know, so have a look up there. There's a bunch of bypass levels up there where the main ore bins were. Some ore just went straight down, didn't go to the crusher, just went straight down. It was more fine stuff that didn't need to be crushed. And the stuff that needed to be crushed went to the crusher here. There's quite a few different options where they had the ore sorted into different And how steep this is here, probably. Yeah, you're only going too close to that. How steep that is, well, on scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 9. Okay, so this is the top part of the crusher. This is all the floor and stuff, the big rotten stuff that's up there. And we were up there and did a little bit of filming there. That's where that big nut was. And this is the bottom part of it. So you see, it's pretty big machine. It goes all the way, see, goes all the way up to that very top level there. That's the ceiling of the top part of the crusher. And there's a big crane up there that Kevin filmed. And this is the bottom part of the crusher. So a lot of this stuff is falling off of here. It's rotted and fallen, a lot of the infrastructure. There's those rotten stairs going up there. And look at the size of the timbers and stuff, eh? They're 12 by 12 timbers. Some just massive bolts and hardware in there. And that's the main tub part of the crusher there. All infrastructure and stuff for it. There's another set of stairs here, but they're all completely rotted out of here. So this crusher was over 100 years since it's been put in here. And we'll have a little peek here through the bottom part of the crusher. And this is where the crushed material would have went down this chute. So there's some, there's the other part of the crusher. You really can't see that much of it. You know, just can kind of see the infrastructure and stuff. It doesn't really show you. It's difficult to see how it operated exactly, but that's what this was. Unless you're a real crusher expert, I guess. That's the main part of it there. But like I say, it's difficult to see inside it. You see those great big drums, the wheels. We're kind of wondering if those big wheels right there drove it somehow, if there was a belt from the top. We didn't see any belt from the top, so unless there was more, it was possible that the drive part might have been right there somewhere and is gone now, maybe a big motor, and they could have taken the motor out. That seems likely. And then, see, there's huge wheels on both sides. There's two big wheels. So I'm thinking that's most likely, that there was a big engine above us, because you can see there's a bunch of stuff missing on both sides here.
There's the gantry up there.
Yeah, there's a big gantry crane right up there. You see the gantry. So that's what I'm thinking, Kevin. There's a bunch missing here, so it looks like probably there's a great big huge motor up here.
They probably took the motors.
That ran the crusher and just two big belts.
Two drives over.
Didn't you see some belts here somewhere one time?
I thought I saw some belts.
Yeah. That's the only way that I could see how this could have operated.
Yeah.
That's I'm sure that's right.
Because it can't go up, and there's nothing placement down.
And see where the gantry crane is? It's right over this hole. So it's likely that gantry crane lifted the engine up. They took all this out of here. And see all this junk laying here? You know, this would have been all part of that deck. They probably just cut it all out of there, dropped the crane out of here, or dropped the motor out of here with the crane. And that was it, and left her. So the motor would have been relatively easy to take out. You know, the crusher, virtually impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a big crusher here, I think so.
This is the crusher.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see what's left of belting or guards off of these big wheels. This is the crusher they were talking about that's in here.
There's just a massive, we know what this is here. It looks like a huge winch. Look at the size of those nuts right there on the backside.
Holy.
You ever see a nut that big?
No. Not for a bit.
Those nuts must be like...
This is a shape, ore box. It's got springs on it to...
Those nuts must be like 12 inch or so, eh?
Yeah.
This is a massive winch. This stuff all looks really solid for its age.
Look at that fucking wheel.
Oh, there's a light bulb.
No.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
Oh, how do you like that for a freaking big wrench?
Frank found a little wrench there. Must be for tightening the shaker box.
So this wrench would have torqued these bolts, I guess. I think I got,
Yeah.
good thing I got steel-toed boots because if that freaking thing drops. Yeah. That wrench
Fits,
is for the
eh?
bolts. Don't fit too good, it's a little rusty.
I'll have to hit her with the hammer.
Wow. So I don't know. That's not as big as I thought. That's what, 8 inches maybe?
8-inch nut.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
No,
how
but
solid it all is, eh?
this is pretty. Lots of timbering.
Oh, there's rats here. Light bulbs all over.
That looks like an old style grease gun, yeah. Focus.
It's a big machine, eh?
Yeah.
But look down in here, I think. Here's the jaws and stuff with it.
Yeah, for sifting. Yeah. I
What
don't know
those
where.
stairs would be like. Those stairs are in good shape, eh?
I'm betting the stairs are scary.
Yeah, there's smaller treads, so. Well, this is a little higher up. So we're seeing lots of interesting stuff here. And this is very well constructed. Let's see. These floors get a little rotten, but there's mostly 6-inch.
You know what?
So there's a big pit here. It's all full of water, it's all reddish. And look at the size of those big teeth there. Part of the crusher. This is a really big crusher. I remember reading about it. I was kind of surprised the first thing we found going underground was a big crusher. Those big wheels and stuff, so it goes back and forth on that rail to lift stuff up. I don't know what it would lift up.
The drive wheels on this side, the crane, the chain falls came down, and you can move the crane by pulling on a chain. You can see where it goes over there to a drive wheel on this side. That was a shaft that ran across on my side. Challenging to the old heart disease without a doubt. Climbing up 3 stories on 100-year-old timber. So it might have been for bringing in timbers or piping or whatever. That looks like a explosive box.
Talk, cut to the chase. Time's running out, and they're using live bait. Streets infected.